This is a complete story from r/BestofRedditorUpdates. It has 17 parts. Let's dive in. My boyfriend and I have been together for about a year and a half now. We met at work, hit it off great, and are now living together. We work for the same company, but at different locations. We generally have a good relationship, fights here and there like all couples, but have been going through a bit of a rough patch lately due to finances from moving in and whatnot. Although, my problems lies within his work girlfriend. Update 1. My company has several locations and he is an assistant manager that floats from location to location whenever someone calls in sick, but he is based out of this particular store and works 3 of his 5 days at this store. About a month ago, this girl transferred from a different state into his base store. She works with him on the 3 days that he is at the store, so they see each other often and for long periods of time. Generally, it is usually just them two and an additional person working. They text each other sometimes, but it has been usually about work-related things. But lately, when I go on his messages, we're pretty lax about phones with each other. I see them talking about other things like hobbies and things of the like. It didn't bother me because I understood that she was new to the state, and from what he told me, she didn't really know anyone besides the coworkers at that store. Until I realized that he downloaded Snapchat and that she was his #1 best friend and they were on an 8-day snapping streak. Update 2. I know it sounds stupid, but I am a huge Snapchatter. I mostly only use Snapchat for social media and I've been begging him for the longest time to download it, only to have him tell me that it was a waste of time, and then I see that he downloaded it for her. When I confronted him about it, he shrugged it off and said it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't want to push the issue because we have been going through a tougher time lately and I didn't want to make it worse than it already has been. I thought that I was being insecure because she is honestly stunning, so maybe it was a bit of jealousy behind it. Update 3. Today, I saw her name pop up on his phone, and when I opened the message I saw that he agreed to pick her up from the airport on Sunday. We made plans to go to my family's party on Sunday, which is about an hour and a half away from the airport. He said he was planning to leave my family's early so he could pick her up and they could hang out afterwards. When I asked him about it, he said once again that he didn't think it was that big of deal because she has no romantic interest in him and that he was being nice by hanging out with her because she's new and that I was overreacting. I am livid. Am I in the wrong here? Update 4. TLDR boyfriend has been hanging out with girl from work, downloaded Snapchat for her and didn't for me when I asked, and is going to ditch my family's party to pick her up from the airport, says he's just being nice. Am I overreacting? Update 5. I sat down with my boyfriend the morning after I posted that and asked him about his relationship with his coworker and how I felt like he wasn't being friendly with her but overly flirtatious, and that it was weird and suspicious, and that I saw his texts about him picking her up and it did not sit well with me at all, especially since he never planned on telling me, and that he was going to leave my family's event early. Update 6. He looked annoyed but eventually admitted to me that he developed a crush on her because she was the opposite of me and was fun and easy to talk to and I wasn't. Also that she put effort into her appearance and I didn't. I admit that I got really upset after this and refused to talk to him, so I left and went to my best friend's house after that for the night. He didn't even text or call. Update 7. My best friend and her boyfriend were freaking amazing. They ordered some wings, told me that they never really liked him because he always seemed lukewarm to me like I was just a friend, and watched some Hulu with me. Update 8. I remember when I was younger, my mom had gotten out of a really bad relationship and told me to never settle for someone who didn't look at me like I put the stars in the sky. Seeing how awesome and amazing my best friend's boyfriend was to me, even when he could have easily left, and how they were to each other just made me realize I was better off single than to be with someone who would rather put more effort into a crush than into a year-and-a-half live-in relationship. Update 9. In the morning, I went back and he was sitting on the couch. He asked if I was feeling better and if I still needed more space. I told him that I wanted to break up and that I would be moving out soon. I said that I would pay for my half of next month's rent. He didn't even look fazed. He just nodded and got up to leave. I was trying my absolute hardest to be stoic about it, but it kind of failed after I saw how nonchalant he was. Update 10. I've been packing and moving back in with my parents during the times I know he's at work. We haven't even talked since besides to talk about financial stuff and housing situations. I've been fighting the urge to really cuss him out and just to ask why he seems so neutral about this when I've really been a huge wreck, but I've always been a firm believer in living well is the best revenge. Update 11. I mentioned in the first post that my ex was a floater for our company. Floaters are very common in our company because we have a lot of stores. It turns out that his work girlfriend became one as well, and while I was working, she came in and filled a shift of one of my coworkers. Update 12. At first, I was planning on just ignoring her except for work-related things because I figured from her reaction of me, I didn't think she recognized me or even knew who I was, and I didn't want a confrontation by asking her. But it got slow and we started talking. We were asking general questions about each other and I mentioned that I had dated Corey, not his real name, and he had worked at her base store. She looked genuinely shocked. She mentioned to me that she had no idea that he had a girlfriend but that he only had a roommate that worked for the same company, and whenever he referred to my name, she assumed he was referring to the roommate. I didn't get the feeling at all that she would be lying to me about this, and if she is, she should be acting. Update 13. I was so pissed that I ended up just telling her what was going on and why we broke up. I told her about the Snapchat thing and she apologized because she didn't know he wasn't that into Snapchat. She showed me her best friends list and he wasn't even on her list, but there was that face where you're on someone's best friends list but they're not yours next to his name. Also, she said she asks for everyone's Snapchat because she prefers snaps over everything, and if they don't have one, she tells them to download it. She had like a score of 30,000 or something equally as large. Update 14. I told her about the airport thing and how he handled it, and she apologized and said she wouldn't have asked someone's boyfriend had she known he was dating someone. Get this, the only reason she asked my boyfriend was because the guy that she was talking to was out of town. She never mentioned that she was dating anyone to him was because she doesn't like to talk about her love life that much. But she ended just asking one of the other coworker to pick her up. She also mentioned that the reason she became a floater was because another one of the assistant manager at her base store was getting too flirty with her and she didn't like it. Update 15. She started going off about how she hated guys like Corey and how he would do that to me. She thought he was just being nice to her since he was one of the first people she met since she moved. I can see how she would mistake his flirting as niceness now that I think about it, since he sucked at flirting. Update 16. From my impression of her, I could tell how Corey would take her friendliness as flirting. She was really nice and friendly. I didn't hold any resentment towards her before, but I definitely don't now. Oh, and she's a girl's girl. And that's the end of the story. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.